So, where's your cowboy hat?
It's in the closet.
I saw it was impressive though. I mean, you're driving a big old truck. I'm driving a big old truck now. I never would have thought that would have happened. Doing that, it's good to see. Doug and I kind of, when he came on as a baseball coach, I'd been here a year, maybe 2 years, and we were broadcasting from somebody's back porch for baseball games back at the old Pioneer Baseball Park, and which was a lot of fun. And I think one of the things that I can't quite remember what Doug would say when he came on here, but I'm sure it went along like that. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to make up the conversation that Doug had when he came in and he saw the baseball park when he was brought in to be the head coach at Tusculum. And at the time, was it Dr. Fields at the time?
Yes.
So the late Dr. Fields, we just lost him this year as the athletic director, bringing in Doug and checking, he's checking out all this stuff. He'd been at Gardner-Webb University. He's walking around, he's checking all this place out. And I can sit there with the old chain link fence at Pioneer Park, and Doug's probably saying, well, I take this job, I know what we're changing, kind of thing. And that was, because of that is why there's a Pioneer Baseball Park that's here, why the banners hang, while Brandon Steele, as the baseball coach this year, is chasing excellence and is frustrated every year, because this guy was so good at being a head coach and at bringing in the right kid. I don't think that Doug could be a coach today in the way that some of the athletic things are going. I don't, but I also think that he could adapt because he's that kind of guy. Your impressions when you first came to Tusculum, what was your true first? I could say it, and know what's up there, and you have your true first impression when you came here to Tusculum.
Wow, kind of.
Yeah.
What would I do with this opportunity? I probably described when I first saw the field, which at that time had not been voted as a glorified goat farm. And I'm thinking, how would we pull this off? And I pretty much decided after I left the interview, I can't take this job. I wasn't sure if we could win. And then after talking to some family and things of that nature, like, hey, you're 26 years old, and you got a chance to be a head coach. And so prayed about that, and I believe God opens doors. And never imagined we would have the facility that we have over there, but we worked extremely hard on the facility that we did have to make it as first class as we possibly could. But I was impressed and struck with the people when I first got here. Deborah Davis was on that search committee. So people that don't like me, they can blame her for part of that. And so yeah, but the people struck me as just really good people, and but I knew it would be an uphill climb to pull it off.
All right, so there's so many memories I know. One of the best for me was the post-game interviews that I would have with you. They were always so positive. Typically, they were some of the best and I learned a lot from that too. About quality at bats, pitching situations, batting situations, when the right time to run, because that would always come out typically. And I don't know, mostly you were talking to your dad when that was going on, because that's what you were doing. Listen, Dad, I know what I'm doing, and I know we messed up, and so a lot of that was for that. But that was usually the highlight of my broadcast was the end of the game. When Doug would come up and be a part of that. But for real, I would learn a little bit about the passion that he would have for it. And I think one of the most passionate teams that you had was, I think it was 2005, and I think it was Beecham with the massive home run to kind of propel us to another conference championship. We stuck our stud out there in the first game, and he just fell flat on his face, kind of thing. And we had to battle through 6 games to get to the championship, and when that was the most impressive for me. But that showed a lot of grit out of me, for you, because of the determination that team had to go through. Is there a team that sticks out to you that was one of the most impressive?
No, that's very difficult. That team was special. 2012 team was special. actually Todd Ireland's in the back. He'd be the best guy to answer this question. Tell you, he kept up with that stuff, and they were all special. That was a meaningful season because Deb and Dom can tell you we hosted the conference tournament that year you're referencing, and the late Ed Hoffmeyer was our AD at the time, and we lost game one. You're right, we lost game one to the 8 seed.
Yeah.
Which what Ed didn't understand is that was a draft guy on the mound that we faced. But I remember coming up and we get beat. We had a rain delay, and I'm coming up to the suite, and first thing Hoffmeyer says to me, "Well, that ain't the way we wanted to start." So that pissed me off. So we went and met in the clubhouse, and that year the tournament was split. So the loser bracket games were at Carson Newman. So I was so mad and went to the convenience store, and I'm in line at the convenience store, and I hear two guys behind me say, "Boy, it's got to stink to host a conference tournament and have to go to Carson Newman and play." And I turned around, and it was Carson Newman's coaches. You talk about some fuel for the fire. We went down. Guess who we beat twice on Sunday to win it? So, fly Eagles.
Talent.
Yeah, whatever y'all. Yeah, whatever that is. So yeah, that was a special group. That was a special season. But I want to make sure I say this before I forget it, because getting inducted to the Hall of Fame is a great honor. It's not an individual honor, right? I mean, I got former players back there, but it's really about your staff that you have. Todd Ireland was with me all but one, I think, Todd. I think he went to Eastern for 1 year.
I think 52 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Brandon Steele, a huge part of that. Sean Gibbs, who I talked to, last night. Mike Korn, all the other, Buster Scott, who helped get fields ready. Dom Donnelly, who did all that. Deborah Davis, who handled compliance. It's not an individual, award. You get that because my job was to try to develop a culture and set a vision. None of that means anything if you don't get people to buy into it. And it starts with your staff, and then it goes, do you have a group of players that buy into that and what you're trying to create? We always tried to have that underdog mentality. We were playing people that had 9 scholarships. The majority of our career there, we had 5. And people would say, "You're crazy." And I would think, well, if you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best. And we tried to schedule that way. Todd will tell you, when I first got here, scheduling was a piece of cake. My phone kept ringing.
Yeah.
Because I think they were 18 and 35 or whatever the year before. And everybody and their mama wanted to play you. And then after, we kind of got established, we couldn't get games. It was very difficult to get games. I don't think you even asked me that question, Brian, but that was my answer.
That's a great answer. I do love that answer. We heard all the accolades and everything that you did on the baseball diamond with your teams. You're exactly right. It was your kids. It was the kids that you brought in. It's a different day and age now. I think you're experiencing some of that where you are, obviously, right now with the growth that school is experiencing. But then we had this growth here at Tusculum. When you have Ed Hoffmeyer, who leads an athletic program, followed by Frankie leading that program, and then that came open, and I think we were having the conversation, and I feel responsible. It's like this is something that you could do. And I think we had that conversation. I think you doubted yourself, but leading an athletic program is obviously a little bit different than leading a baseball program. But how gratifying was it to be part of conference championships for other sports here at Tusculum?
Oh, it was great, and it didn't seek that out. Never thought that would, be me doing that. But we tried to, again, create a culture, create a vision of what we wanted, and it's all about, the student athlete. And you're right. There's zero chance I could coach today. Because we pushed kids, we motivated kids, back then, you're right, they would pay you to play.
Yeah.
And now it's like, we live in a society as what can you do for me next?
Yeah.
But when I got the opportunity as the athletic director, it was let's stop talking about the things we don't have and appreciate the things that we do have. And how do you sell that? And you got to try to hire quality young coaches. I was a believer, I think if you look at my track record in that role, hired a bunch of first-time head coaches, guys and gals that had never been a head coach. And you know, that was something Ed and I disagreed on. I remember being on the search committee, and Ed said, that was a really good interview for so-and-so, but we can't, that person has no head coaching experience. Well, you only get it one way. Somebody's got to believe in you, somebody's got to give you that opportunity. And we were able to hire some coaches, you know, but our goal was to provide a quality student-athlete experience for our kids, get them across the stage. And yeah, winning's important. You know, I think sometimes people shy away from that. And that's just kind of the way I was brought up and wired. You know, my thing is, if God gives us a day and the opportunity to get dressed, then no matter what we're doing, if we're competing, we're sweeping a floor, we ought to do it to the very best of our ability.
Right.
And I think that's what he expects us to do. So that's how we tried to approach it. We had some success. We did some good first things, but it was all about our coaches, all about our staff. And again, it was those people behind the scenes that made it a special experience.
Yeah, I brought up, you know, your dad earlier, because, you know, you had to have support, you had to have people in your corner, and he was that one. And it seemed like well, always, you know, you come early, and I would always set up the little FM transmitter so people in the stadium could listen to the broadcast, and then we were on the internet as well. And the only reason I did that was for him when he would show up, you know, for those games, because he wanted to hear. But you know, you have support. You've got your family, obviously, and you're used to winning. You know, your girls are champions. You know, they're a part of programs that have had success, and a lot of the things that you've instilled in them, I think, came out in their individual careers as well. But you have to have this support, and boy, you have some of the best support right here at this table.
Yeah, family, obviously, you know, when you're coaching, we always say this, it's the family that sacrifices, right? They take a lot of hits, and being married to a coach is not easy. Being married to a coach that's me, very difficult, very difficult. And but the girls grew up here. They grew up on the field. You know, mom and dad we've lost both of them. Mom and dad was very supportive. Dad was a coach, and my brother was a coach, and dad was legally blind, so he lived for your broadcast, right? And he would blow Dom's phone up all day long, finding out if there's any chance of rain, are we still playing? And then, you know, my mom and dad trying to figure out the internet almost led to divorce. Because if she couldn't get it going, he was mad. So yeah, without them, our family support, the sacrifices that my family, but it's really about all the people that I've mentioned, our coaching staff, our players. You know, that's what it was all about. If I had one regret, I would say this, is that I never took enough time to enjoy the successes, because I was always on to the next thing, and you know, how can we do it better? But I've been blessed because I've had great coaches, great support, and I said this when I left. Tusculum University changes lives, and I believe that, and it's been a special place.
Listen, this could be a 3-hour podcast, okay? Because I could do this all day with this guy. This has been a privilege. It's my privilege to be here doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Jones.